starts now. Last night I had a dream that the world had turned around. All our hopes had come to be, and the people gathered around. They offer all what they can bring, and nobody wanted that. A little song to sing. The revolution starts now. You tell me lies, 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 sweet little lies, when I can't bear the truth. You tell me lies, 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 sweet little lies, help me make them all come true. Tell me that the rain won't fall today. Tell me that the tax man lost his way. Tell me that the hurting ain't gonna hurt no more. No, it ain't gonna hurt no more. Tell me that somebody stopped the war. Please tell me. Tell me lies, sweet little lies.
And good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. A Carson City man says the court clerk there is illegally backdating judicial filings for the state attorney general.
And he's only sharing those claims with News 4's Ben Briscoe, who joins us now live in the studio with the details. Ben.
Before you hear what proof this man says he has, you should know the clerk's office declined an on-camera interview with us where they could explain their side of the story. And when you listen to this, please keep in mind you're only hearing one point of view. The only perspective that's willing to go on camera. It's all new at 5.
I think the proof is very solid.
Todd Robbins says this court filing by the Attorney General's office in his wrongful termination case against the State Department of Taxation was dated in time to meet a procedural deadline, December 20th. But it wasn't actually turned over to the court until at least the next day, after that deadline.
The document wasn't in the file.
On the afternoon of December 21st, Robin had a legal processor check to see if the document had been filed on time. A court clerk worker then signed this certified docket report for the case, showing the brief was not in their computer system yet. That legal processor also submitted this affidavit, swearing the clerk's office spent 40 minutes looking to make sure it wasn't in their hard copy files either. According to both these documents, no record of the brief was found on the 21st, but that filing in question is still stamped, saying it was there on the 20th.
It's a big public concern because the public has the right to a fair court system.
The clerk's office manager, Max Cortez, declined an on-camera interview, faxing over this handwritten official statement, reading, "Because this case is on appeal with the Supreme Court, I am unable to make any comments." She also attached this 2-paragraph letter sent from the clerk's office to Robin, reading, "After reviewing your case file, I have found no discrepancies."
However, after the commercials started running promoting our story, the court manager did call News 4 back to explain procedurally how a document could come in one day but not be in the system until a few days later. For example, say a filing comes in on Friday afternoon. Well, then it will be physically stamped Friday the 13th. But if it's not something that's due in court until down here, the clerks might set it aside and get back to it Monday to be entered into the electronic system. Now say they're super slammed again on Monday. The court administrator says it could even theoretically be Tuesday the 17th before that document coming in on the 13th actually gets filed electronically.
The Attorney General's office also declined an on-camera interview with the statement that these allegations are, as a matter of law, not true. Court documents were properly filed.
Do you think it's possible this was just sitting in a file somewhere and hadn't gone into the system yet?
Every clerk was checked, and the law clerk and I believe even the judge. I stand by it. The document wasn't filed.
Why would the clerk do this? Why would they risk their career for this?
That's a good question. Well, first of all, if you do miss a filing date, the case could be thrown out. Okay.
Robin also said the judge in the case was good friends with one of the defendants. He adds that the judge, James Wilson Jr., refused to investigate the possible backdating, and court records obtained by the fact-finder team show the judge then signed this order, saying Robin's conduct was disruptive and counterproductive. Robin was also not allowed to call, write, email, or otherwise communicate directly with court staff after that. News 4 has been calling the judge for more than a week, and he still hasn't gotten back to us for comment. And Robin says he's speaking out to us now because there's nowhere else to go for help, and he hopes there will be a public outcry after this story.
All I'm asking for is an investigation into the matter. I haven't accused anybody specifically in the court, but there has to be an investigation.
And to give you a little more context about the man making these claims, he also says he's contacted the FBI about the possible backdating and filed a judicial ethics complaint against the judge. And in addition to that, he has an appeal in the Nevada Supreme Court about his case. The hearing date for that has not yet been set. Live in the studio, Ben Briscoe, News 4.
We'll occupy the streets, we'll occupy the courts, we'll occupy the offices of you till you do the bidding of the many, not the few. Our nation was built upon the rights of every person to improve their plight. But the laws of this republic,
A computer problem that may have added false crimes to some inmates' records. We first broke the story earlier this month, but since then, prison officials have changed their story and are now downplaying the impact of any computer problem. The question is, how often did it happen? It's a fact-finder report you'll see only on News 4.
The first errors that we're aware of happened back in 2007 when the Department of Corrections switched over to a new computer system. Prison officials admit mistakes did occur because they say the new system was unable to calculate indefinite prison sentences like life terms. Even a term of 10 years to life could confuse the system, leading to false charges showing up on some inmates' records.
There are records here that they have admitted have been affected in the past.
In one case, felony battery and burglary charges were dated June 5th of 2007, the exact date the new system came online, even though the inmate, Nolan Klein, had been in prison since 1988. A month later, in July of 2007, Klein was denied parole. No reason was given, but he never did get out. He died in prison 2 years later. But prison officials insist all of the mistakes were caught and corrected. Steve Suey is the public information officer for the Department of Corrections.
Can you say with certainty that no inmate has ever done extra prison time because of these mistakes?
I feel pretty confident saying that there, as far as I know, there have been no adverse consequences to any inmate.
When we first inquired about the problem, Suey told us there may have been as many as 1,300 mistakes since 2007. That is, felony crimes added to inmates' records by the computer incorrectly. But Suey later told me that he misspoke and now insists the majority of mistakes can be chalked up to human error. That is, prison staff entering inmates' work and good time credits incorrectly. Prison officials again emphasize all of the mistakes have been caught and corrected, and that inmates' records are reviewed on a regular basis. But surprisingly, they also told us they're not interested in tracking how often these mistakes occur.
Do you think there should be a system in place to track them, since we're talking about inmates' sentences and their lives?
Well, Joe, I guess some people would probably say yes, but what's the point of tracking it as long as you fix it?
I think the point would be to know how often it happens, exactly how often.
I guess, like I said, when I talked with the with our computer fellows this morning, basically they said there's no way of knowing how many that...
But state lawmakers are now demanding answers. Just days after our first story aired, members of the Advisory Commission on the Administration of Justice began asking questions of their own. They want to know exactly how many mistakes have been made and whether those mistakes have kept any inmates locked up longer than they should have been.
Even with our inmates, they have certain rights to only spend so much time in prison. Anything that's beyond that time they're serving in prison, is an injustice to them.
The growing question is just how big of a problem are we talking about? Prison officials say, flat out, they don't really want to know.
We have enough other things to do, in my opinion, than to track how many times we screw up.
This could also impact taxpayers. It costs the state $20,000 per year to house each prisoner. Now, Assemblyman Horn says he plans to send out a letter to the Department of Corrections, the Attorney General, and the Parole Board asking for answers. And he says the answers he gets will determine what the Commission's next steps will be.
I've been stumbling on good hearts turned to stone. The road of good intentions is gone dry as a bone. We take care of our own. We take care of our own. Wherever this flag's flown, we take care of our own. From Chicago to New Orleans, from the muscle to the bone. Shotgun shack to the Superdome. There ain't no help, the cavalry's